Good morning and welcome to this morning's episode of the Amateur in the Morning. I am your host, the Forex Amateur. Today is the 5th of January. It's a beautiful Tuesday morning out here in Durban, South Africa. And we're going to get straight into the order of business for this morning. As you know, I like to basically break down the charts every single morning. My view of the dollar index futures, Nasdaq equities, and a few of the synthetic indices that I do look at. Purpose of these sessions is purely just for me to guide you towards identifying daily buyers, purely for educational purposes. So just to throw in my little disclaimer in there, remember I'm not qualified to offer financial investment or trading advice. Everything I speak about on these episodes is purely my own opinion. And do not take that it does not constitute as trading advice. So let's just talk about the dollar index really quickly. Looking at the dollar index, I did speak about it yesterday, giving us bearishness, right? So we can see that on the weekly time frame, we can see that we still have that bearish sentiment in there. Going down to the daily time frame, I did actually identify this zone in here where price will most likely come back to. So we can see on here, we've got this bit of a zone in here that price is basically gravitating towards. Yesterday, we did have a very strong rejection on yesterday's candle. Breaking below yesterday's low, the previous, what was it, Thursday's low. Breaking below Thursday's low, which I did speak about as well. Let me just get this out of the way. So, this low specifically in here, right? So, we should expect some sort of bullishness coming into the market from that point, right? Obviously, retesting the zone to the upside in here, which I did speak about as well, where we most likely see the continuation of the bearish momentum from that point specifically. Right, so we're still waiting for the bounce into the zone in here. And once we get that bounce, we basically look for a continuation back to the downside. Overall, we're looking at short-term bullishness on the dollar. And just to continue that bearishness back to the downside, not really much more I can speak about. Let's just drop down to the 4 hour to have a look at that because there's not much data on the daily or weekly over and above what we've already discussed. So you can see here on the 4 hour chart, we did get a really strong impulse of bullishness yesterday, and that's currently being pulling back as well. One thing I would like to point out on this point is that we have not broken any significant structure in here to the bullish side to give us any sort of confirmation to be looking for buys. So until price breaks above here, then perhaps we can look to take some buys to the upside. Maybe on the lower time frame, we can see some structure breaks and look for good enough confirmations. Obviously, if you're taking it off the lower time frame, there has to be much more confirmation before you're able to take the trade. So just looking at this at the moment, we can see a bullish presence in the market at the moment, but not really any confirmation to be taking any buys or anything to that extent. Once we get a confirmation of a break above here, then we can look for pullbacks and look to target this area in here or that zone on daily. This should actually tie in really well with, it should tie in really well with this weekly zone that I did draw in for that continuation back to the downside. Let's move on to the Nasdaq equity. Okay, Nasdaq we did speak about yesterday. I did say that we had a structure break in here. We haven't really seen a higher low form, so we should expect the higher low to pull back and form in and around this area in here. So that's actually played out really well. We can see that pull back into the zone, and we can see a strong rejection off of that level. I would expect it to push down again, to be quite honest. And the reason for that is because of how much volume was in this candle. I would expect it to push back down to the downside again one more time before it reverses and turns around. So looking at it, revisiting this area in here and see exactly what happens from that point, because this would be something that I would think will be revisited, especially since all of this volume in this candle is pushed quite significantly down, breaking a lot of structure. So that's telling us that there is quite a strong bearish presence at the moment. Not to say that I'm changing my bias to bearishness, to be honest, but just looking at what price action is telling us at the moment, there is a probability that we would just see a small continuation of that bearish push. And perhaps later on in the afternoon, we'll see the market reverse and push back to the upside. Overall, we are still bullish on this market, but we cannot ignore the bearish signs that we're currently seeing at the moment. So that's it in terms of the Nasdaq equities. Let's just move on to synthetics. So looking at the Volatility 25-1S, we did speak about this broken structure yesterday, and I did say that this was the first level that I was actually looking to see if we do get selling opportunities. We did get some selling opportunities off of this level. You can see in yesterday's candle there was a strong rejection. With today's candle, it actually opened and traded down. So we'll be actually expecting to see price sort of push back to the upside again, because as you can see, it's not sustained bearish momentum in this market. Looking at the 4-hour chart, we have no sort of structure breaks in this instance. We've got low, higher low, higher high, and you can see here that this last higher low was actually broken per se, but not really confirmed because there's no closure below it, right? So what we could see is, it could drop down even to the 1-hour chart. We could see is price pulling back into this area here, because there's some sort of supply in this area here. There's a bit of a structure break on the lower time frame, so we might see maybe a very short push to the downside, but continuing this momentum back to the upside again. Overall, we might be revisiting this level right in here, which is also something I spoke about yesterday, and overall perhaps bearishness will come in from around that point. So for now, let's just have a look at what we can do. If price comes back into this level, I'll actually be expecting to break above this level and give us some sort of a pattern in here. Perhaps break above this level, give us some sort of a pattern, come down into this level in here, right? And then perhaps we can look for some sort of buys back to the upside from around there. It could even come a bit deeper down, right? But overall, we haven't gotten any overall confirmations on the higher time frame for any sort of long-term sells on this market. I am currently holding a few sells at the moment, but that's all scalping at this point. Let's move on to Volatility 100. So Volatility 100, I did speak about this level here, right? So I spoke about this level in here on the weekly time frame where we had the structure breaks, price pushing back to the downside. I was expecting for some sort of bullishness to come in from here. On daily, we did see some sort of a double bottom formation, and I did say that we'd most likely see a push to the upside from here, and I'm supposing that these 3 candles is that push to the upside that we will be getting on there. We're not really going to be getting anything else until price sorry about that, until price pulls to the downside to around this area here, and then we'll see our confirmations from this area to push this market to the upside from there. So overall, we're still looking at price trading back to the downside. As I did say yesterday, that on the higher time frames, we don't have any sort of confirmation. Remember, I said on the daily time frame, I would like to see price break this high here and confirm that it's broken the high and then pull back into that structure break for me to take buys. As you can see, we did not get those confirmations that we were looking for. So for now, we're still sitting on our hands and we're in wait and see. So waiting for the market to get down into that area, and then I'll be looking to make trading decisions from there. Looking at what's happening at the moment, perhaps it might be, if we do not get price coming back and closing inside of here, because that's still a very, very, very strong possibility that we can get a strong bit of a bounce here and then price comes back into the zone. So we'll be watching today's candle close to see how that confirms, and if we get any confirmations on there, then we'll be looking to take those buys to the upside, with confirmations obviously on the H1 time frame. So that's it from my side. As I said, remember the purpose of this is purely educational. It's not there to give you any sort of trading advice. Make sure that you do your own research. Make sure you do your own analysis before you make any trading decisions. All right. So until next time, it has been a pleasure as always to share with you guys, and I'm wishing you a blessed and profitable trading day.